Hi, everyone. This is Attorney Rob Wells here from the Law Office of Robert M. Wells. Our law office specializes in landlord and tenant issues. In this video, I'm coming to you directly from my office off my iPhone right here because we just got off a webinar regarding the state's rental assistance program under SB 91. As some of you may know, the applications for the rental assistance program under SB 91 will be coming out on March 15th, 2021. That's just next Tuesday, I believe, here. And there were a number of different questions about what the eligibility was going to be about this program, kind of like the mechanics about how landlords would get paid, what documentation that a landlord would have to provide, and how the application process would work. I will tell you right now that there is more information provided by the state of California about certain eligibility requirements that will be necessary. And then the period of time, rent wise, what is actually payable from the state. So let's just go over an overview of it. So the program is, either landlord or tenant can apply for this rental assistance. If a landlord applies, a landlord is entitled to receive up to 80% of the past due rent a tenant could not pay for the period of time of March 1st, 2020 through March 31st, 2021. The basic criteria if a landlord applies is have to have a rental property where there's a tenant there that hasn't paid rent or has not paid a portion of the rent from March 1st, 2020 through March 31st, 2021. And the tenant or each tenant, a tenant or a member of their household has to bring in less than 80% of the mean income for the county. And the state has a list of the counties and the mean incomes on the website. We'll link that down below. Tenants, if a tenant applies for the program, and the landlord doesn't assist with the application, a tenant can receive rental assistance, but it's only up to 25% of a tenant's rent. And the theory behind that is because due to the COVID protections under SB 91, if a tenant pays 25% or more of the rental of the fair market of the rent obligated under the rental agreement, then they can't be evicted at all now through June 30th, 2021. So that's kind of the thinking behind that. Now, it is encouraging, and I'm going to encourage landlords to work with their tenants with filing a joint application. From what they've explained to us in the webinar, if either landlord or tenant apply for rental assistance, there's a way for them to merge the applications together. In fact, for landlords, it's going to be required that the tenants participate within the program to at least verify that there's a rental agreement and the past due amounts, and to collect a few different pieces of documentation from the tenants for a landlord to get paid their 80% share. Now, I will say this, and they did mention this in the webinar, that even though they're separate applications for landlords and tenants, information provided to the state through the program is not shared with either party. So confidential information from the landlords is not provided to the tenants and vice versa. So tenants, private information is not disclosed to the landlords, but there is a way that they can merge the applications together. And we were told that the tenants will have to participate at least for a landlord's application. It doesn't work the opposite way with if a landlord chooses not to participate with a tenant's application, that they will still pay the tenant, but only 25%. And I think I did mention that there are some ramifications if a landlord doesn't participate. Particularly, there were some provisions in SB 91 that if a landlord ends up going to court or whatnot to collect on their rent, a court can adjust the damages awarded to a landlord if a court finds that, hey, there was governmental assistance available to the landlord and they chose not to participate. So that's that in a nutshell. That's a different story for a different video, but there are criteria for documents needed for a landlord to apply, and those are at the state's website, housingiskey.com. We'll link it down in the video as well. Just some tips for our landlords here that maybe are interested in applying. First off, get your documentation set up right now. The state was stating that key documentation that will be needed are, items to confirm property ownership, that you, the landlord, actually own the property. So things that they were suggesting gathering would include property deed, property tax statements, a mortgage, or a promissory note, if you own the property. Also to the rental agreements, and also I didn't see it on the state's website, but having a ledger of what amounts are due, for example, are going to be helpful, because you're going to want to have that information on hand when you're filling out this online application. Now, for folks in Solano County, it's a little bit unclear to me how that program is going to be administered, because as they stated in the webinar I was in, Solano County is a Tier C county, which basically means that a portion of the rental assistance program is going to be managed by the state, while the other portion of the program is going to be administered by Solano County. And that the details I was trying to look up, how that's going to work, I couldn't find anything immediately. So stay tuned. We'll get some more information. We'll have to contact some of our community partners here to figure out what's going on. And to be honest with you, that information may not be available until next week when the applications are live. So that's kind of the scoop right now. I just wanted to let our clients know, our people that follow us, that help is on the way. It's better to get your application in early as possible, because the grant money is finite. They may award some more money down the road, but that's just right now. We just have the information that we have on hand right now. As a landlord's attorney, and if you've worked with our office before, I'm going to highly encourage you as a landlord, or if you have tenants that have not paid rent through March 1st, 2020 up until present, to apply for this grant, because you know what, it's just one thing more off your list. If you're eligible to get it, you can get 80%. I have clients dearly that would be more than happy to forgive 20% right now if they could get 80% of what was actually owed at this point, because as everyone may know, under SB 91 and AB 3088, a tenant is only required to pay 25% of the market rent, or the rent in the contract, to forgo an eviction. But that doesn't mean that, hey, you're going to be able to collect that 75% balance. And if someone's going to write you a check now for 80%, I would take that absolutely right now. You won't have to deal with someone like me to get your money. And statistically speaking, as every month goes by, it's going to become harder and harder to get that rent directly from your tenant. And usually, in many cases, when we end up in eviction court or in small claims court to collect this rent, tenant is basically what we call judgment proof. You're not going to be able to get any money directly from them. You may be able to get a piece of paper from the court saying, hey, my tenant owes blah, blah, blah this. But the bottom line is, the judgments collect dust all the time. Very often, that's very frequent. And, at this point, if someone's going to give you an 80% check, I'm going to take it if I'm eligible. So stay tuned. We're going to give you more details. I know this is kind of like rushed and put together, but we just got off this webinar here, and I wanted to get the word out as soon as possible. And my thing to you is, if you're facing a non-payment of rent situation and you need help, please feel free to give us a call. We can do a case review, give you some options, some ideas to think about and to consider. And again, since we have this rental assistance program from the state, please apply because it's there. And I know a lot of landlords need help right now. So until we get some more information, stay tuned. Hope to talk with you soon, and take it easy. Take care.